Have you ever walked through a European city and just felt a sense of permanence? Like the cobblestone streets and ancient buildings have stories to tell from centuries past and will continue to stand for centuries to come. It's not just your imagination. There is a fundamental difference in how many European cities approach urban planning compared to newer cities in places like the United States or Australia. It's the difference between planning for a decade and planning for a century or even longer. This is the concept of long urban memory. So, what exactly is long urban memory? It is the idea that a city is not a disposable product to be used up and replaced, but a living, evolving organism built to last for generations. It's a philosophy that sees buildings, public squares, and infrastructure not as short-term assets, but as a legacy. Think of the Roman aqueducts. They weren't just built to get water to the city for the next 20 years. They were monumental feats of engineering designed to serve Rome for as long as Rome itself would stand. And guess what? Parts of them are still standing 2,000 years later. That's long-term thinking. This mindset is baked into the very fabric of European urbanism. When a new public building is commissioned or a new transit line is planned, the conversation isn't just about immediate needs or the next election cycle. It's about how this project will serve the city in 50 years, 100 years, and beyond. This foresight is why you see metro systems in London and Paris that are over a century old, still forming the backbone of their cities. They were built with such robust quality and a vision for future growth that they've been able to adapt and expand over time. Let's contrast this with a more short-term approach, often seen in rapidly developing cities. Here, the focus can be on speed and cost-effectiveness for the immediate present. You get sprawling suburbs built with materials that might only last 30 to 50 years. You get transportation networks designed to solve today's traffic jams, but which quickly become overwhelmed as the city grows. This isn't necessarily a criticism. These cities often face immense pressure to grow quickly. But it highlights a different philosophy, one of immediate problem-solving rather than generational legacy building. The result is often a cycle of building, demolishing, and rebuilding that can feel impermanent and disconnected from its own past. One of the key pillars of European long-term planning is the emphasis on high-quality, durable materials. Walk through central Paris and you'll be surrounded by Haussmannian buildings made of solid limestone. These structures weren't just meant to be beautiful. They were meant to endure. This investment in quality pays off. Not only do these buildings last, creating a stable and beautiful urban environment, but they also become more valuable over time. They are adaptable, capable of being renovated and repurposed for modern uses without being torn down. A 19th century apartment building can house a modern family. A historic warehouse can become a trendy art gallery. The building's bones are so good that it can live many lives. Another crucial aspect is the creation of strong, mixed-use urban cores. European planning has historically resisted the urge to separate every function of life into different zones. You don't have vast residential-only suburbs separated from commercial-only districts by miles of highway. Instead, you have vibrant city centers where people live, work, shop, and socialize all within a walkable or transit-accessible area. This creates a resilient urban fabric. These neighborhoods aren't dependent on a single industry or trend. They are diverse ecosystems that can adapt to economic and social changes over time. When you build a city for people to live in, not just drive through, you build a city that lasts. Public space is also treated with a reverence that reflects this long-term vision. The grand squares, the public parks, the riverfront promenades, these aren't afterthoughts. They are considered essential infrastructure, the living rooms of the city. Think of the Piazza Navona in Rome or the Jardin du Luxembourg in Paris. These spaces were designed centuries ago, not just for the aristocracy, but as gathering places for all citizens. They are foundational to the city's social life and identity. This investment in shared public space fosters a sense of collective ownership and pride, encouraging citizens to care for their city because they feel it truly belongs to them and to the generations that will follow. Now, it's important to acknowledge that this isn't a perfect system. European cities face their own massive challenges, from housing affordability to integrating modern infrastructure without destroying historic character. And the long memory can sometimes lead to resistance to necessary change, but the core principle remains powerful. Planning for the long haul forces a focus on quality, sustainability, and human scale. It encourages us to ask not just what is cheapest and fastest now, but what is best for our great-grandchildren. This approach also has profound implications for sustainability. A city built to last is inherently more sustainable. When buildings stand for centuries, you drastically reduce the carbon emissions and waste associated with demolition and new construction. When cities are dense and walkable, with robust public transit, you reduce reliance on cars and the massive carbon footprint they create. By designing for permanence, European cities were practicing a form of environmentalism long before the term was even invented. So what can newer cities learn from this? It's not about copying the architectural styles of Paris or Prague. It's about adopting the mindset. It's about investing in high-quality public transit as a primary mode of transport, not as secondary option. It's about prioritizing durable building materials and adaptable designs. It's about creating beautiful, functional public spaces that will be cherished for generations. And perhaps most importantly, it's about shifting our political and economic incentives to reward long-term vision instead of just short-term gains. When you build a city with a 100-year plan, you're not just laying down streets and pipes. You're building a home for future generations. You're creating a legacy. You're embedding a story into the very stones of the city, a story that says, "We were here, we cared, and we built this for you." That is the power of long urban memory, and it's a lesson that holds value for every city in the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this look into urban planning interesting, please give this video a like and subscribe for more content about the hidden systems that shape our world. What do you think your city could learn from this approach? Let me know in the comments below. See you in the next one.